Alrighty, why don't we get started? This session, we're going to talk about realizing value from contact center automation. Before we do that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Nayan Mehta. I'm the head of customer success at Replicant. I have the pleasure of working with all of our customers and talking about how we realize value, how we make an impact, what our ROI is as a partner. And so we spend a lot of time with our clients, most of you, really working through this, figuring out how we are actually making an effect on your business and moving beyond kind of the spreadsheet, the ROI, to really what changes can we actually make? I have two goals from the session today. It's not to regale you with ROI modeling or formulas or anything like that. It's really around first having a discussion, right? I want really all of you to participate and help me out. Where do you see contact center automation and automation in general having an impact, a real impact on your business? So I'm only going to share a handful of examples for certain things, and really I'm going to turn it over to you and want you to share with us where you're seeing this so all of your colleagues can learn from you. The second one is I want everyone here to walk away with some new ideas for where they can make an impact with automation. We know how hard it is to be agents of change within our organization, right? To really push for new technology, especially something like AI and automation in the contact center. And so when we're pushing for that, coming up with, hey, where can I actually change how our business operates is absolutely critical to making sure, well, everyone in this room is successful. So just so you understand how this is going to go, we're going to talk about 3 different areas where we can make an impact with automation, give a few high-level examples, and again, really turn it over to you on each section and ask for you to share examples with the team, and specifically some of the even metrics that you heard today, OSAT scores, completion rates, that allowed you to make those decisions that had an impact on your business. When we decided to do this, we broke this down into 3 different buckets. Now, these aren't the only buckets where we can make an impact. These aren't the only examples, but it's a good starting point. The first one is workforce management, right? Clearly, how do you optimize your agents, your staff, even your supervisors and trainers, right, to get the most impact out of automation? The second one is the customer experience. How do we constantly delight our customers and make sure that they're getting the best service possible so that they keep coming back? We know, I think it's no surprise to anyone in this room that when your customers are happy, your business does better. And last one is business process improvement. What are other areas throughout our business that we can learn from automation and actually change? This could be as far-reaching as changes we're going to make to the in-store experience or to the website experience, and more, right? Or even how we operate as a business. We've heard from some customers what we've done with conversation design in something like Replicant actually can translate to how their agents even talk on the phone. So going into each one of these, the first one, workforce management. One of the biggest areas we see addressed with automation, and we just had a whole section on it, seasonality and spikes, right? Planned seasonality, knowing when it's going to come. More importantly, in a lot of cases, not knowing when it's going to come, right? Unplanned events, spikes where one of our customers had a small outage with their systems and resulted in 10x amount of calls per day at Xenial. And because of not just Replicant, but because of Replicant and the integration with Salesforce and the triaging we're able to do, we're able to manage a lot of customers out of that and only get the ones who are actually experiencing the outage to the agents. And so that kind of immediate decision-making with no planning is really a massive area that automation can make an impact. One of the other areas in seasonality and spikes that we didn't quite touch on today, but I think is really interesting, is even intraday spikes. So we've seen this with our customer DoorDash, right? When we're placing outbound food orders, it's not just about, okay, one day is more than the next. It's literally the dinner rush. How do I staff for the dinner rush and make sure I don't miss orders and lose revenue? That type of intraday planning can be nearly impossible when you're dealing with humans. And automation is actually a perfect way to address it. Next, we have headcount planning, right? Again, interrelated. The headcount planning goes beyond. We're not here to say, hey, get rid of agents, right? It's around how you are planning for them, how you're using a mix of whether it's your in-house agents, your BPOs, what is the right mix, right? What's the right usage of people onshore or offshore, and helping you make the best decision for your business. That's not going to be universal for everyone else. And one more we heard about a good amount today is talent management, right? How do we make sure agents get work that they actually love, right? And isn't repetitive, and we can help upskill them and help train them to be better. These are just a handful of areas, but this is where I'm going to throw it out to you. And if you guys don't raise your hands, I'm just going to call on you. So please share with me, what are some of the areas you've seen or think about using automation to address your workforce management challenges? And what helped you make those decisions? We have mic runners running around too who will come find you. No hand raises. Okay, Mike, you're up. I'm just calling on people now. Yeah.
Well, the first thought that came to my mind was we're now open 24/7. And so this was a big one for us. We operated on typical business day hours, 7 to 7. And today we probably take about 30% of our overall contact traffic after normal business hours. So it's really taken a lot of the volume out from the normal day and flattened that curve, so to speak, so that agents have a lot less work to do and can just take their time and work on the relationship building with the callers that they're getting to.
Absolutely. Any others?
Wait.
Our daily spikes have shifted. So they usually, the rush hour used to start at around, 7 a.m., 6 a.m.? It's now at 9. So we used to we still do, we bring our most experienced people in at 6. Well, they twiddle their thumbs for the first few hours. And then the real rush comes at 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, even on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, the experienced people who can whip through the calls, they're gone. They're long gone at 2 o'clock. And then the new people are like, they're caught holding the bag at the end. So
on the rush hour home.
On the rush hour, well, I don't know that it's a rush hour at home. It's the people like me saying, I got to get the heck out of this house. You all know what I'm talking about. Because you do it too. You're like, I got to get out. I'm going to go, and I'm going to feel productive today, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to see the world because we've been in the house all day. And that's when I go out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. So that's when the rush is. And so how do you manage that? Because you've got senior people who have seniority and you got to schedule them and you're going to come in at 9. They don't like that. So it's quite a challenge in our organization.
Take one more on this, if we have it. That's okay. Oh, there we go.
For us, it's January is a big month for benefits, and so we do staff up for January and then just allow attrition to take its place. And so this will eliminate that fluctuation in budget planning, where I'm not going to have to add an additional 30 bodies for January and just let them fall off. So that will be a big one for us. And I think, just as everybody's been saying, allowing the easy calls to be taken care of, and then the more senior tenured agents can take care of the more complicated calls. That's really important. Really important.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. The next area I'd love to touch on is customer experience, right? So we've seen automation really improve the customer experience. Now, obviously, the best way to measure this is measure your CSAT scores before and after you use automation. We had some great examples of that earlier today. But why, maybe the question we might ask is, why does automation help our customer experience, right? What are the areas I could look for in my business that I can improve the customer experience with automation, because it seems a bit counterintuitive. Oh, your experience is going to be better, customer, when you talk to a robot than when it is when you talk to a human. But the reality is it very much can be, right? And there's 3 areas we look for in that. The first one is immediate and consistent service. Both of those words are very important. Immediate and consistent. The same experience every time, right? We heard one of my favorite examples is from AAA and Lisa and Tiffany, and calling every customer to tell them when their tow truck is coming. Before that, you guys would only call 60-ish% of the people. When there was a weather event, that 60% went even lower. And so just consistently letting people know your tow truck is coming, and it's coming on this time, and letting them know that consistently, immediately, every single time, help the overall satisfaction of a multi-part experience, right? The only part they automated with Replicant, for example, was KMI, but there's the ERS, there's the dispatch, there's so many different parts of that. But overall, the experience became better because people just felt comfortable getting contacted. Yeah.
In the first place.
Sorry, say that one more time so everyone can hear you. Yeah.
I said, thank you, I hate this. Appreciate that. I said we used Replicant to plan for the spikes, right?
Yeah.
That's what our use case was. It
Yeah.
wasn't immediately out the gate, getting the information, but actually planning for the things we can't plan for.
Yep. The next one is end-to-end resolution with self-service, right? So this, again, not just call center, not just automation, but where can you give customers the ability to serve themselves as quickly as possible, right? People want to get through these experiences quickly. People really, the new age, the millennials, younger, they don't want to talk on the phone. You keep hearing that, yet for some reason, none of our call volumes have really subsided. But getting them that end-to-end resolution, helping them through a path, and then making sure it is fast and natural is really critical, right? This difference between good and bad automation. The fast, natural experiences, meeting people where they are. You've heard us say that a few times. Somebody calls you, they don't want to go to the app. They're calling you, right? If somebody's on your app, they don't want to go to your website because it has more functionality, right? Making sure you have parity across those experiences so you can meet customers where they are is really, really important. So with that, I'm going to come back to you guys again and say, hey, where have you seen automation really make an impact on your customer experience? And tell us how you kind of got there. Mike.
Yeah, I just want to validate what you said about the millennials. So Kevin talked about the senior citizen demographic. We're actually on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Yep. Most of our callers are millennials.
They're students.
And what really opened our eyes several years ago was one of the complaints we got was from a college student who's complaining that they actually had to talk to us. So it just reinforced the idea that, hey, self-service and automation is a good choice for that particular demographic. It's made a difference for them.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to add here, too, is just on the 24/7, since you had brought up earlier, was, we saw a very strange thing with one of our customers, Because Market, where they did not take after-hours calls. And it turns out that about 3 times more people, this is an elderly demographic, call them after hours than during hours. And just having service after hours, being able to help them change their subscription date or adjust their address, made all the difference in the world. Meeting people where they are. Other examples? Please, Anita.
And this might even go in the first slide as well about workforce management, but I'm thinking when you have contact centers that are hitting 90-something% occupancy and it's call after call after call after call, even our agent can get a little bit, what was the word that we used? Salty? Crusty?
Crusty.
Some of those. So from an end customer, when they do start to talk to that agent, if that agent is not so overwhelmingly tired because they haven't had a chance to breathe in between calls, I have to expect that the customer experience on those calls will be better as well. So-
Absolutely. Yeah, giving people the space, your agents the space to breathe, your customers, the best of your agents makes a big difference with your customer experience. How about from this side of the room? So see what we got here. Brian, can I call on you? Absolutely.
Okay, I do have a question that I've been thinking about for the whole conference so far. And it actually has to do with customer experience. And I'd like some good ideas on how to handle the transition from the bot to a CSR when we have to send them from the bot to escalate a call. I would love some good ideas on how to handle it, because they've already said, this is my address, or this is my phone number. They've already authenticated. Maybe they've even given some intent. So I'd love to have some good ideas on how to make it a good customer experience by moving that information from the bot to the CSR. So they don't have to repeat themselves.
I'll give you my beginning answer and open up to anyone else here. But really it is around agent training and making sure, first of all, the agent gets that information, right? What did Replicant or the automation in any other case do before it got to me, right? Knowing that hey, Brian, you've been authenticated. You're calling about termites. Clearly you're here talking to me because you want to schedule your termite service and you only got partially way through. So getting that information to the agent is first and foremost, making sure we have the right systems, whether that's a CRM, a screen pop, both to do something like that. And then the next biggest part is agent training. Right? You heard actually Tanya and Lisa talk a lot about change management today, and it's really, really important. When we start out with some customers, we get agents who are afraid, if I use the bot's information, it's just going to take my job. And that's couldn't be further from the truth, right? We rely on the agents to actually continue that customer experience and continue it to close it all the way through. So I'll leave it at that, but any other additions to that? Please, Tanya.
So this is actually, we have one app that can do it and one app that can't do it. So for our roadside app, the API is with a system called D3. And when the call fails in Replicant, it sends what we call a killed call, so a partially finished call back to the agent, and Replicant then says to the customer, here's your reference number. And what the customer should say is, my reference number is 2358, and what the agent should do then is pull that up in the system, and then all the information that the customer has given them should already be there. Now, what you said about agent training is absolutely 128% true, because there's lots of people who still disregard that information and cause member frustration. But for the most part, if they follow the process, the information comes. It's unfortunate that my other system doesn't allow it to come.
Yeah.
And if I could, I would have it suck back that information. Makes it easier.
Absolutely. We got Mike again. Chelsea over here.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of steal some of my own thunder for tomorrow, but you mentioned screen pop. So maybe along the D3 system you're talking about, when Replicant is going to escalate to a person for us, we've integrated Replicant with our telephony platform, and it creates a screen pop that goes onto the agent's screen as the call's transferring, verifies they've been authenticated, tells a little bit about why the caller is escalating, and gives them some background of what the conversation's been so far. So they've already been prepped by the bot of what to expect. So it's just a natural transition from bot to person.
Awesome. So last area, but definitely not the least, is business process improvement. One thing I failed to mention at the beginning, by the way, because I heard it, I think, which bucket does this fall into? These are not mutually exclusive buckets. Everything can fall into, depending on how you look at things, might fall into one, might fall into another. They're also deeply interrelated, as we know, right? Changes to how you manage your workforce is going to impact your customer experience, going to impact your business processes. But a few areas we've seen here, one of the ones I like the most is eliminating repetitive tasks. You've heard us talk about this today. Solve all the tier 1 issues, right? Eliminate just people having to do the same thing over and over and over. Great example of this is with our customer ADP, who I'm sure you all know, biggest payroll provider in the world. And so we run a use case with them where we call all the companies, mid-sized companies, when they're going to be over threshold on payroll, meaning you're going to miss payroll this month because you don't have enough money in your bank account. Very important call, has to be done, very important legal requirement. But it's super repetitive, right? God, just picking up the phone, calling down the list. Hey, is this Kathy? Okay, Kathy, your payroll's going to be overdue. Can you make sure you put enough money in your account? Okay, thanks, bye. That's it, right? By automating the outbound call and combining it with an RPA solution that triggered an email as well, ADP was able to cut out human work by 90% with this use case. Really, really big deal because it's just a lot of people having to make this very repetitive, boring call. And it's not just, can I automate one part of it? You have to think about all the way through. How do they automations work together, right? Whether it's Replicant and RPA or maybe a website and a different vendor, right? Next one is acting on detailed customer insights and detailed customer data. One of the great things about automation, one of the things I love most about my job in customer success and working with all of you is the amount of insight and detail we get on every single interaction. Knowing exactly what happens on calls, on customer chats, is really critical to making decisions on, okay, maybe people are all calling in because something went wrong. Our website doesn't explain something properly. Right? And so getting that detail, or hey, people are calling in because something with our product is actually an issue, right? And that we didn't expect in one of our new releases. So really delivers that insight to you a lot faster than having agents mark down dispositions or come to you anecdotally. It's going to deliver. And definitely last but not least is testing alternatives. A/B testing is really critical to drive engagement, better experiences, better outcomes. And with automation, it's easy to do A/B testing. It's easy to test 2 different scripts. Having to get a group of agents in your call center to try out 2 different things consistently and deliver you reliable results, nearly impossible, but I guess can be done. That is it for business process improvement. One more time, I'm going to go around and say, what are some areas you've been able to think about improving your business, can make an impact on your business by introducing automation strategically? Camille?
So as you're talking about, so our relationship is very new, but as you're talking about how can we implement this, we get so many customers that call about refund checks. Where's my refund? And did you get the payment? So as I'm thinking through this, and you just brought this up, could we then have the outbound call campaign that says, hey, your refund check has been processed, look for it in the next 5 business days, as well as that pop email that goes out to the people who don't answer.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, voila, that gets rid of probably about 20% right now of our level 1 calls, customers just asking about that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great example of how can you be proactive with your customers. Any other examples? And by the way, examples on any of these, by the way, or questions. We're kind of here at the end. So if you have any questions or ideas, also feel free to come and find me later. We're happy to talk. But yeah, anyone else? No? Well, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.